What happens when a player sends a direct message to his biggest rival without even naming him? In Madrid, words are not always spoken out loud, but they are felt in every shot. Alexander Zverev has sent a clear warning to Jannik Sinner, and it has nothing to do with a single match. It is a statement of ambition, of power, and that he is ready to challenge the Italian's dominance. Let's find out what this message really means. Zverev's run in Madrid is not being interpreted merely as a good sporting streak, but as a statement of intent directed straight at Jannik Sinner. Each victory by the German seems to carry an implicit message: he is ready to compete at the highest level against the player many consider the most in form on the tour. It's not just about advancing through rounds, but about proving he can impose his game against any opponent. In this context, his performance becomes a form of silent, yet extremely forceful communication. Unlike other moments in his career, Zverev is showing a more mature and calculated version of himself, aware that the challenge posed by Sinner requires more than just natural talent. This change is no coincidence, but a direct response to the Italian's growth in recent months. The German understands that to compete with him he needs consistency, aggression, and above all, unbreakable mental strength. This adjustment in his competitive approach is, in itself, a clear message: he has no intention of falling behind in the new hierarchy of world tennis. Zverev's message is not built through controversial statements or direct provocations, but through actions on the court that speak for themselves. In a circuit where every detail matters, his ability to dominate matches without cracks reflects a specific preparation to face the very best. Sinner, as the emerging leader, naturally becomes the reference point. That's why every solid performance by the German can be interpreted as a warning: he is fine-tuning his level with a very clear goal in mind within the Madrid tournament. There is also an important psychological component in these kinds of implicit messages between elite players. Zverev knows that Sinner is watching, analyzing, and taking note of everything happening in the tournament. Showing confidence, controlling the tempo, and avoiding moments of weakness not only helps him progress, but also sends signals of mental strength. At the highest level, these details can make the difference. The German is building an image of solidity that aims to create doubt even before a potential direct clash. Another key aspect of Zverev's message is his ability to adapt to Madrid's conditions, something that could prove decisive against Sinner. The altitude and court speed favor players with powerful serves and aggressive strokes, qualities that perfectly match the German style. By mastering this environment, Zverev is not just winning matches, but reinforcing the idea that he has specific tools to trouble the Italian in this particular setting. All of this turns his performance into something more than just sporting output, transforming it into a strategic statement within the tournament. Zverev is not competing parallel to Sinner, he is competing against him even without sharing the court. Every point won, every match resolved with authority, contributes to building that message aimed at settling into the Italian's mind. It is a way of anticipating the duel, of beginning to play it before it actually happens in Madrid. From Sinner's perspective, these kinds of messages do not go unnoticed and are part of the mental game that accompanies elite tennis today. The Italian, used to leading through performance, now faces a rival who not only wants to beat him, but also challenge his dominant position. Zverev is not asking for attention, he is demanding it with his level. This shift in dynamics adds an extra layer of tension, where every performance is interpreted as a piece of a larger confrontation. The rivalry between the two begins to take shape not only through matches, but also through these indirect signals that elevate the tournament's narrative. Sinner represents consistency and unstoppable evolution, while Zverev embodies the response, resistance, and ambition to reclaim prominence. In this context, the German's message gains even more strength, because it does not come from a position of inferiority, but from the conviction that he can compete on equal terms. It is also important to understand that these kinds of warnings are part of competitive strategy in modern tennis. Players seek advantages in every possible aspect, including the psychological one. Zverev, with experience on big stages, knows how to handle these codes and use them in his favor. His message is not improvised, it is the result of a clear reading of the current state of the tour and the role he wants to occupy within it against figures like Sinner. On the other hand, the impact of this message is not limited to Sinner alone, but also influences the overall perception of the tournament. Other players begin to see Zverev as a real threat, which changes how they prepare to face him. This domino effect further reinforces the German's intention to position himself as one of the main protagonists. In such a competitive environment, controlling the narrative can be just as important as winning matches on the Madrid court. If a clash between the two ultimately takes place, all this prior exchange of implicit messages will add significant emotional and strategic weight. It will not be just another match, but the culmination of tension that has been building since the start of the tournament. Every gesture, every point, will be shaped by what both have previously shown. In that scenario, Zverev's message will find its true test, facing Sinner's response directly on court. In short, Zverev's warning is not a simple reaction, but a calculated statement that redefines his role in the tournament. He is saying, without words, that he does not fear Sinner and that he is ready to challenge him under any circumstances. Madrid thus becomes the stage for a duel that begins long before the first serve. And in that pre-match game, the German has already made his move with a clarity that leaves no doubt about his intentions. Zverev's message to Sinner goes beyond tennis. It is a declaration of ambition and positioning within the tour. He doesn't need words, because his performance speaks loudly enough. Now, attention turns to how Sinner will respond to this implicit challenge. Because in Madrid, the battle has already begun, even before they face each other. Sinner dodges the Alcaraz topic. It's a very personal matter. The Italian, world number one, avoids comparisons with tennis legends and prefers discretion regarding his conversation with the Spanish player. The absence of Carlos Alcaraz in the upcoming clay tournaments, Rome and Roland Garros, has completely changed the landscape of the tour. Without the Spaniard in the draw, opportunities open up for many contenders, and all eyes now turn to Jannik Sinner. The Italian, current world number one, faces a golden opportunity to extend his dominance and move closer to a historic milestone in Madrid, with the chance to win 5 consecutive Masters 1000 titles. However, far from feeding the hype, Sinner chose to downplay any comparisons with the great legends. To be honest, I don't think much about it. I can't compare myself to Djokovic, Nadal, or Federer. They are on a different level, he said. The Italian was also asked whether he had a private conversation with Alcaraz after his withdrawal was announced, but he opted for discretion. It's a very personal matter, so I won't answer, he stated. He did acknowledge the impact of the Spaniard's absence on both the Madrid tournament and the rest of the clay swing. His absence will surely be felt not only here, especially because we are in Spain, but even more at Roland Garros, he added. Alcaraz's withdrawal is bad news for the spectacle, but it also completely reshapes the race for Paris. Without the two-time defending champion in the draw, Sinner sees part of the path cleared toward a goal that still eludes him, winning his first Roland Garros. Madrid will now be the first major test of this new scenario, with the world number one carrying the full spotlight of the tournament. Possible clash with Jodar. In Madrid, the Italian is already in the round of 16, where he will face Cameron Norrie. If he defeats the Brit, Sinner could meet Rafael Jodar in the quarterfinals, in what is shaping up to be one of the tournament's most anticipated matches. World number one Jannik Sinner praised Spaniard Rafael Jodar, one of the revelations of the competition, with whom he could cross paths in the quarterfinals of the Madrid Masters 1000, and predicted a bright future for him. Sinner trained a few days ago on the court next to the 19-year-old from Madrid, who is playing the Caja Mágica tournament for the first time. He's a player with tremendous talent. Today he was warming up with Nikolai Budkov-Kjær, the Norwegian. They're part of a very interesting generation, born in 2006. There's João Fonseca, Jodar, Nikolai, Rei Sakamoto. They are all very good players, and it's a highly competitive year. Jodar hits the ball with great precision, with very natural power. You can hear it in the sound when he strikes it, and it's a good sound coming off the racket, explained the world number one. He has a lot of talent. He's going to be a great player in the future, and he's already showing it. I like his mentality, he's quite calm. I don't know him personally, but he seems very humble. Yes, he's a very, very good player, and I wish him the best, he added. The Italian has now reached 24 consecutive wins in Masters 1000 tournaments. He has surpassed Rafael Nadal and is closing in on the records of Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic. However, Sinner rejects comparisons. I don't think about those records. I've always said, and I keep saying, that I don't compare myself with those names. They've achieved so much in their careers, and I'm just getting started. Yes, they are on another level. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to play as many matches as possible. But what they did is something completely different. I just try to give 100% in every match. If I win, great. If not, I tried my best and I have no regrets. That's it, he explained. I never take anything for granted. I try to understand what works well in certain conditions. A good example is Indian Wells and Miami, two completely different conditions. And when you come back to clay, you don't have much time, but you try to understand what works there. Then you come here, this is a clay court, but it has very particular conditions. I just try to understand what works. That's my motivation, to put myself in the best possible position to win as many matches as possible, and that's it, he added. Regarding court conditions, Sinner said they are more or less the same as in previous days. More or less the same. I think it also depends on the temperature and whether you play under the sun. It was a bit warmer, so it tends to be a bit more slippery because the court dries faster. But everything was quite fast. At the start of the set they watered the court, so there's more grip. So yes, we're also getting used to it a bit more.